Today on CHGO Blackhawks, we're joined by Blackhawks defenseman Alex Vlasic, and it looks like Ivan Demidov will make his debut against the Blackhawks next week. Lots to talk about. Join us for the CHGO Blackhawks show coming up next. Presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code CHGO365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Thanks for being here with us on this chilly Chicago Wednesday. I'm Jay Zawaski. That's Mario Tirabassi. Steven has ascended from on high to bless the Blackhawks show with his Bears presence. We had to lay out rose petals.
I'm surprised he remembered our names.
We do have a team of people fanning him with olive leaves and palms, making him feel where he belongs.
It's fitting for this time of year that Steven's being treated that way.
Guys, with that introduction.
We're glad to have you back, buddy. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Hit that like button for us. Subscribe, all that good stuff. You know what to do by now. We're going to bring in Blackhawks defenseman Alex Vlasic, who's standing by in Boston as the Hawks face the Bruins tomorrow night. Alex, how's it going? How is Beantown?
It's good. It's good. I like Boston a lot. Obviously went to school here, so it's fun to kind of walk around and see some of the places that I used to go to all the time.
I've got to ask you, when you were a student in Boston, did you have a car?
I did not.
The closest my wife and I ever came to breaking up was driving through Boston. An absolute nightmare. There's no sense to the roads. Everything is based on like cow paths, and there's no grid system. It is brutal. So Godspeed to anyone driving through Boston. It's awful. This is pre-GPS days, by the way. That's how old I am. So
yeah, I didn't. One of my roommates had a car my junior year, so I would use his sometimes to get around. But yeah, I mean, I never really had to drive too much, so it wasn't the worst.
Yeah, I enjoy it. It's a great. If you've never visited Boston, do it. It's a great town, full of history. Love it there. Let's get the hard stuff out of the way first. Last night, tough loss in Pittsburgh, and you guys hold a players-only meeting after the game. I know you don't want to get specific, but just sort of generally, what was the vibe after the game, and what was kind of the message of the players-only meeting?
Yeah, I mean, definitely not gonna, like you said, get into too much detail, but it's no secret that we aren't where we want to be, and especially after a game like last night, I think everybody kind of felt a little bit defeated, and it definitely wasn't an easy loss for us to have. It felt like we kind of just fell apart in the third there, but I think it was mainly just based on the direction of where we want to go and where we want to be these next 4 games, ending the year, and hopefully carrying that same kind of mentality into next season.
Was the game last night and the reasoning for the meeting, is that just a circumstance of the group being young and especially having some guys that are just getting into the NHL? Is it kind of like a second wake up call for this group to kind of like set the standard of like, this is what the NHL requires? And is that more or less the tone of how things were after the game?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, we definitely do have a very young team now, and it's, I think, valuable to have those kind of conversations when majority of your roster is new to the NHL. I mean, even for myself, it's my second year here, so I'm still kind of figuring out how things work and the little ins and outs of being in the NHL. But yeah, I think it's valuable to hold those meetings and ensure that the players that are here now are going to be here for hopefully a long time and part of the future. And it's important that we start in the locker room as a group to build the type of environment that we want for the next however many years to come.
Well, we were doing the post-game show live when the news came that you guys had a players only meeting. And I think our reaction, obviously the game wasn't good, but I think we felt it kind of encouraging that at this point in the season with so few games left, you all felt it necessary to still say, hey, no, this is unacceptable. We have to be better. Like, I know there's only a few games left. I think there's a lot of teams that maybe would have had the same result and said, whatever, we're almost done. We're coasting to the finish line here. But you guys decided to nip it in the bud right away, regardless of where you were in the season. And Anders Sorensen kind of echoed that when he spoke and said it was a good thing. He thought it was a good thing that there was a players only meeting.
Yeah, definitely. I think it shows that, we're still invested, and it's never easy to lose. I mean, we have to play games every other day, and when you're doing your job and you're not doing a good job of it, it sucks. And, you obviously, as professional athletes, are very competitive, and winning is all we want. But, it says a lot for us to, I think, kind of have that same mentality with 4 games left in the season. Like you said, I think it's easy to check out and kind of just ride the rest of the season out here. We have a week left or so, and, not really care about the results. But I think kind of touching my point earlier of the group that we have in the locker room now is going to be there for a little bit now. And we have a lot of the pieces up in this moment. And it's important that we understand that message as a group, that no matter what, like, we can't play hockey that way, and we can't afford to, no matter if it's the last game of the year, we can't afford to finish the season off in a way where we're not satisfied, and we're not going into the summer with a little bit of positivity and motivation to continue.
Well, I mean, from the beginning of the season to the point you guys are at now, you've gone from 5th oldest roster to 3rd youngest in the league. Having gone through that this entire season for yourself, like, how does it feel just having the young guys around, and the feel of practices and preparation for games and travel and everything? How does that differ with the group that you have now with the team than maybe at the beginning of the year? Do you feel like some of those young guys, like, do you feel like yourself, you're maybe helping those guys a little bit more rather than when it was a little bit more veteran heavy at the beginning of the year? Like, how does the vibe, I guess, of the team differ start to finish?
Yeah, it definitely feels, quite a bit different. I feel like at the start of the season, I found myself looking up to the older guys and kind of seeing what they were doing, and trying to be the younger guy, absorbing information from those guys. And throughout the course of our year here, we have so many young guys now where it feels like I kind of have to step up and be that guy for somebody to look up to, and, kind of teach little things here and there, whether it's on the ice or off the ice, just things you learn, I guess, about being a pro hockey player. And I like it. It's fun to kind of, set that standard of who I want to be as a leader, and what I've learned from, guys like Martinez, Maroon, all these veterans that we have. And it's fun to kind of, experience that change in roles.
Every time you say it's your second year here, I always think, is that true? It feels like you've been here forever. It feels like you've been here a long time. Like, in comparison to, honestly, most of the roster, aside from Connor Murphy, like, you've been part of this organization more than most of them. So it feels like you've been around forever. And do you sort of have to stop yourself and say, look, I'm 23 years old, but I'm already thought of by a lot of fans, and apparently some of your teammates now, as like a veteran on this team?
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, I like it. I like being somebody that people can look up to, and somebody that can be in a position of leadership. And it's definitely kind of nuts. I mean, I've been with the organization for 4 years now, I guess. So it's definitely it feels like longer than that, but just in the NHL, I feel like solidified in the NHL. It's been 2 years. So that's kind of where I say that number from. But it's definitely a funny thing to kind of think about, that, aside from Murph, like you said, I've been here maybe the second longest. So maybe Reichel has been in the organization, or I guess probably same as me. But it's a weird thing to kind of talk about out loud, I guess.
Speaking of Reichel, did you get him a new phone charger?
No, but yeah, we made some jokes. We felt bad just because, like he said, he went to bed like super early that night. He was like, going to get some good sleep and stay rested, and then yeah, tough balance for him. But we used to be roommates, so he didn't need to set any alarms. I was usually his guy, so I think he misses me now.
Hey, we've all been there.
Yeah.
Mine is always setting the alarm for PM instead of AM. That's
there's a Seinfeld episode about that.
That's what happens to me. But yeah, I just thought it was funny. I think a couple of visits ago you talked about the garbage can incident in Rockford where you just didn't bring it in and a neighbor had to bring it home for you. And then that happened and we just kind of snickered at that. But yeah, it's I think I know it's not great that happened, but I think the fact that you guys were kind of busting him on it didn't seem like the end of the world, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's he's an honest player. Everybody loves him in the locker room. So it was, yeah, a tough thing. I feel like everybody's a little bit paranoid now. I know I was like going to sleep the last road. We were just in Pittsburgh, and I was like double checking that my alarms were all set for the right time, and my phone was charging. It's scary. I mean, yeah, sometimes something will happen where your phone just like stops working or stops charging in the middle of the night, and yeah, tough bounce.
How tough is the turnaround for you guys? Because, you'll have a game, I'm assuming, a 7:00 start, let's say at the UC, game's over about 9:30. You're probably not home, I'd assume, till like 10, 11. Some days you're up, then what? The next day you got meetings and workouts by like 7 a.m. Like after playing a game, going through that, the physicality and the stress of that, and then going home and turn around and coming back, like how difficult of a turnaround is that for the duration of the season? And is that something that, we hear guys talk about, like, having to be a pro and learning things? Like, is that something like the physical stress of that, the getting your sleep, being able to be rested and ready to go the next day? How difficult can that be for guys that are like professional athletes in that setting? Because I've always wondered that, being not a morning person myself.
Yeah, it's honestly pretty brutal sometimes. I feel like it all depends on how you sleep and like when you go to sleep. For me, and I know a lot of guys on our team, like after games, you just can't fall asleep. Your adrenaline's high. You've had a coffee, maybe like half a Red Bull or something. You're buzzing, and I try to go to bed. I've tried to go to bed, earlier. I feel like it started happening to me in college where I'd try to go to bed at like 12:31, and I was just like laying there like wide awake, like couldn't really fall asleep. And I'd say now on average after a 7:30 game, I probably fall asleep by 2. I've kind of figured out how to do it and how to go about it. So there's definitely like a science that you kind of have to figure out for yourself. But I mean, I know some, like I think Fliggy said he can just fall asleep right after a game, because I know he doesn't nap before games. So that also probably does something for me. Like I'll take a 2-hour nap before a game, and so I'm not getting to bed till later. But yeah, it can be tough if you have to wake up in the morning and practice, and especially, the second half of the season when you gotta really grind in and do that stuff. Maybe you gotta take a couple naps here and there throughout the days just to catch up on some sleep that you've missed.
It's pretty right. That's crazy if Lino does not nap. Most guys nap right on a game day. That's kind of the routine.
I would say most do. Yeah, I know Bedsy last year used to not, and I thought that was crazy. And I think this year he said he started to a little bit, like a 30-minute nap. I found honestly what was funny for me the first half of the year, I couldn't really sleep that well during my naps. I don't think I wasn't that tired overall. And then slowly throughout the course of the season, the second half of the year, I started to just pass out right. I've noticed your body is definitely tired and in need of a break. That's what, for me, I've kind of figured out. But it's fun to, I guess, now getting used to the NHL, figuring out how your body works and how you what you need to do to feel your best every day.
So do you have a specific game day routine where every day I sleep at this time? Are you one of the guys that has the same meal every day, or do you mix things up?
I do have the same meal every day, at least at home. Not because I'm superstitious, but just because it's what I love, and it's like breaded chicken with pesto pasta. But it's never like, yeah, I'm not too superstitious, and then I'll probably head home, eat that, and then if it's a 7:30 game, I try to like be asleep by 1:45, set my alarm for 3:45, coffee when I wake up. I do try to get into a routine. I think it just makes it easier on the mind to kind of do the same thing every day.
So then if you're on the road or West Coast or you have an earlier game, do you kind of move everything back a little? This stuff fascinates me. Maybe it's boring to everybody, but to me, it's fascinating. So now you have a game at 6 tomorrow. So does everything move up an hour and a half in your day?
Well, 7 Eastern.
Yeah, 7 Eastern, right?
Playing on the road is tough, honestly, like because your ice slot in the morning is always later. Like, so at home, if you have a morning skate, let's say it's at 10:30, so you're getting home an extra hour, or you're getting an extra hour, I guess, of like being at home and maybe getting a nap in. But when you're on the road, your ice slot's at 11:30, so you don't have as much time. Then you got to like bus back to the hotel, which could take a while. You got to eat. Like, I'd say my naps on the road are on average like an hour to an hour and a half, just because it's kind of all you can get. But sometimes I do kind of just play it by ear and like how I'm feeling. But on the road, I don't really have a routine that I stick to, just because it's different like every single game.
It's just, yeah, it's just fascinating because you think of professional athletes, like they have to be at their peak like in a day at like 7 o'clock, which is for us normies completely different, because for some of us, we fall asleep during the game because that's the end of the day. But for people like you, like Alex, it's like that is the peak of your day, is when you're playing the game. So it's just, yeah, that your normal clock is just completely thrown off. It's something that, like you, Jay, like I've always been fascinated how to get into that routine and feel that physically ready to go. Do you stick to that in the off season? Like, I know you're probably not going to bed at 2 a.m. throughout the off season, but like, is there a transition period once the season is over that you're like, okay, I don't have to necessarily nap from 1:30 to 3:30 and not get to bed till that late?
Yeah, during the off season, I honestly just I do whatever I feel like doing. At the start, I'll kind of, I'll go to bed whenever I want, and usually I don't take naps. I don't love napping. Like, the only reason I do it during the season is just because I know I kind of have to. But like during the summer, I'd rather just be awake and maybe be a little bit tired. I feel like I'm wasting time if I'm just sleeping for like 2 hours a day. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, during the summer, like we usually work out pretty early. Like, our workouts will start at 8 a.m. So I like to eat before. I'll get up at like 6:30 sometimes. So during the summer, I honestly go to bed a lot earlier than I do during the year. Just because I don't have as much time. Like, during the year, I'll wake up at 8 on average. So I lose like an hour and a half of sleep, in the summer for our workouts and stuff like that. But, yeah, it's funny. I feel like your body gets used to, like you said, kind of performing at like 7 p.m. Like, for me on an off day, let's say right around like the afternoon, I get so tired. And then at night, like, I just get wired for some reason. I think my body's kind of trained a little bit to just get that extra burst of energy because it's used to playing games at night.
I mean, I know doing podcasts after games is not the same as playing a game, but
It's a little different.
I can't sleep when I get home either. You gotta get the adrenaline up. You got to get the energy up to do it. And when I get home, I'm like, well, I got to kill an hour before I'm possibly sleeping. So yeah, it's interesting. Before we continue with Alex,
this segment brought to you by Sleep Number
by NyQuil. Yeah. Do us a favor, hit that like button. We have not enough likes. We got a lot of people watching, not a lot of people liking. I know the conversation is riveting, but take a second. We're going to give you a second to navigate over to that thumbs up and hit it for us. We got to get that number up. Every time you hit the like button, Alex kicks an assist. It's science.
Yeah. That's how it works.
That's how it goes.
I don't know if that's true.
No, just go with it. Go with it. Want to ask you about Pat Maroon, who today was announced as the Masterton nominee for the Blackhawks. I know we've gotten into your relationship with Alec Martinez a lot. That's a guy you're close with. But what has Pat Maroon brought to the room this year for people?
Yeah, he's right up there with Marty. Some of my favorite teammates I've ever had. I think, you can ask anybody that's played with him around the league and you get the same answer from them, just in terms of his personality in the locker room. He'll do anything for the team, and he loves to hang out with the guys. I think that's, the thing that I've picked up the most from him is, you're only in this league for so long. I feel like for me, it seems like, if I'm playing 15 years, it seems like forever. And talking to him, talking to Fliggy, some of these guys who just kind of say it goes by so fast in the blink of an eye. And to be able to see, amongst all those guys, like they love just kind of spending time with the guys, whether it's on the road or at home, like doing things with one another, just because it does go by so quickly. And that's the kind of connections that you'll have for the rest of your life, is with your teammates. And that's how you build a strong bond within the team. And that leads to chemistry on ice as well. So I think from those guys, it's just the positivity and the attitude that they bring every single day that's contagious and noticeable for me, and I think a lot of the younger guys as well.
Well, you talk about, recognizing the privilege you have of playing the game, and Pat Maroon helps illustrate that. Before you guys played the Washington Capitals, that's pretty much what Nick Foligno had to say about Alex Ovechkin, is that every goal he scores is like his first, with the excitement and the celebration. What was it like to be there, to see that happen? I know it sucks to have it happen against your team, but pretty historic moment to see Alex Ovechkin tie Gretzky's record and then eventually break it 2 days later.
Yeah, definitely not great in the moment, I would say. It's tough to kind of, going into that game, the only thing we're worried about is just not letting him score, and then we do the opposite of that. So it was it was crazy how many chances he got for how aware we were to not let him score, like to not get those chances, which goes to show, I think, just like, when you're a player like that, like the puck just ends up on your stick. Like you just get those great opportunities. And it was honestly a really cool moment. I think after the game, like being able to give him a handshake, a little dap up, I'll remember that for the rest of my life. Such a fortunate moment to be able to say that, I shook hands with the best goal scorer of all time. So cool in that sense, and just really good for the game of hockey, I think, in general, to kind of see at this point in hockey. I feel like Gretzky's records are so unattainable and seem out of reach, and for him to do that now is an incentive for everybody playing, that nothing's ever impossible at this point.
It was funny, before the game, one of the reporters asked Anders, like, how do you stop him from scoring? Anders was like, no one has this answer, but it's crazy. He has scored the same goal so many times. Does he just kind of have a knack to find and get away from defense? I don't even know how you can explain the way that he has been able to score consistently from the same spot over and over again.
Yeah, it's honestly, like Anders said, I don't think anybody really knows the secret to it, but I think he does a great job of kind of reading the play and seeing where the open ice is. And I think all of his teammates are very aware to pass him the puck when they get it. And so it gives him that much more opportunity to score those goals and to be in those positions. Cause as soon as you kind of leave him open in one spot, it's on his tape and in the back of the net.
Do you find yourself, because you're a guy that grew up in that era where Ovechkin and Crosby were, that was like their ascent to, the top of the league. You guys just played the Capitals. You played 2 games against Crosby and the Penguins. Do you find yourself still kind of taking a moment when you're on the ice against those guys? Maybe not in the moment because you're just focused on playing the game, but do you still find yourself kind of being like, whoa, like, hey, Sidney Crosby's coming at me? Like, do you find yourself having those kinds of moments, or have you now played enough in the NHL where you're like, no big deal?
I think, a little bit of both. I think it started off kind of like that, and slowly it started to, come down a little bit, just in terms of the level of not fear, but just like, whoa, like a wow moment where you're playing against these guys. I think for me, the more you do it, obviously, the more comfortable you get with it. But at the start, last year, our first game of the season was against Crosby. That was the first time playing against him. And that was a crazy moment for me to just say that I played against him. And he is such a good player, still so good in every aspect of the game. So it's cool to see how long these guys have been dominant for, and that it just continues today.
If there's one guy in the league you could just eliminate that you never have to defend against again, who would it be?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like the easy answer would be like McDavid or McKinnon. But honestly, a player that's so hard to play against is Kucherov as well. I just find his game is different than those two guys. Like, he's not, obviously, he doesn't have the crazy high end speed that those two guys have, but he kind of like Crosby. They just think the game so much faster than everybody else, and as soon as you kind of give them an opportunity or an open lane, an open shot, it's too late.
Well, getting towards the end of the season here, but we've been noticing the amount of like social media content that's been coming out from the Hawks and the in-game entertainment. I know you've been a focal point of some of those. You had your fan-drawn self-portrait. I saw this a couple of days ago. What did you think of the likeness there? And when you're filming, though, that's all in one shot, right? You guys knock that out all in one day.
That was, you go in and then they handed us a bunch of pieces of paper, that one specifically, and you kind of had to guess who it was. But I mean, I saw my acting debut too, the one of me running in from the stairs of the backpack on and stuff. That took a couple takes. The first time I started dying laughing. The second time I almost ate it. I almost tripped. So I was actually kind of getting a little tired. It was like 8 a.m. in the morning before practice, and I was grinding to get that done.
They've been I really like the ones they've done with like the veteran guys and the young guys. Like I think
the generation gap ones
have been good.
Those have been good. Yeah.
They're entertaining. Do you ever find yourself during the game like looking up either home or road and just watching the in-game features, or are you pretty locked in?
No, I definitely do. Yeah, if I'm on the bench, like if I'm not on the ice, I'll watch them most of the time. I feel like I always catch myself watching when they have our media staff like reach inside the box and they're like trying to guess what it is. Like I see that one a lot. But yeah, I wish like sometimes on the road I'll see ones where I think last night there was one where like a fan had to say a few things or like answers to this or that, and then it would do a player and see how many you like matched up or aligned with. Like I wish that there was a few more of those. Maybe there are, but I just don't like watch those ones in particular.
Yeah, I'd imagine as you're on the bench, the flow of the game can keep you from the fun stuff going on the periphery. Yeah, I get distracted. I'd be distracted by it all the time. Who would you say has had the best and worst acting jobs that you've seen so far?
The best. I don't know. I think Reichs might have had the best one. I feel like I forget what his one was. He was trying to work or something, right? And he's like, "Can you guys keep it down?"
Yeah.
Was that his?
Yeah.
So I'll go with Reichs for the best. For the worst, I'll say Bedsy. I didn't think he was invested enough. I don't know where I'd slot myself in. Maybe right behind Reichs at number 2.
Oh, there's no doubt.
That's fair.
All right, we got a couple minutes left, and I want to ask you too. I think last time we talked to you, Sam Rinzel had played one game. Since then, a handful more, and seemingly game after game, he impresses us even more. What have your impressions been of playing with him?
Yeah, I love playing with Rins. He's been great so far, and I feel like we're kind of starting to build a little bit of chemistry there. It's fun to kind of stick with him for a few games and feel out his tendencies, and I'm sure he does the same with mine. And I think we're kind of starting to build off of each other there in a way. But yeah, he's been great. I mean, he's starting to find his game offensively, and he could have a handful of goals by now. I think it's coming any game now. So he's been good, and he's eager to learn and get better. So it's fun to watch him continue to grow.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're good.
No, it's I think a similar impression that you made when you came to the NHL was kind of how mature and calm your game seemed, and maybe it actually wasn't to you, but from people watching, it's like, wow, he just came right up, and it's there. You see the talent, you see the understanding of the game there. I think I've had a similar impression of Rinzel, and you're right about the goals. Like, it feels like he'd have 3 or 4 already, and hit the crossbar yesterday. It's just a matter of time. He's looked really good.
Yeah, he's got a lot of offensive ability and confidence with the puck, which I think helps him. He's such a long, rangy defenseman and skates well. So, even if he, gets in a situation where he might be in trouble, he's fast enough, he's athletic enough to get back in a good spot. So, I think he's definitely really skilled at trusting in his instincts to make plays.
Where did Big Bird come from? Because we heard on the broadcast that is Rinzel's nickname.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, we asked him when he came in what his nickname was at Minnesota. I feel like he kind of like looks like a Big Bird almost. Like, he's very tall. He's kind of got like a mullet, like the wings kind of come up in the back. But yeah, people call him Riz, Rince. He's got so many nicknames. I kind of say whatever, but I keep switching it up back and forth until one kind of sticks.
Well, so far, Big Bird seems to be sticking.
Big Bird is hard on the it's hard to shout on the ice, though.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
All right, Alex, good luck tomorrow in Boston, and as the season rolls out here. I know we're going to talk at some point during the offseason as well, hopefully about some new teammates of yours that are added as free agents, trade pieces, and draft picks. So have a great game against Boston and beyond, and we'll talk to you soon, man. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
All right, that's Blackhawks defenseman Alex Vlasic with us here on CHGO Blackhawks. Do us a favor before we hit the break zone here. Hit that like button. We'll be back with more. We're powered by Bet365. And we've been telling you now for quite a while about our friends at Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. You need to go there. If you are new to the cannabis game, if you are an expert in the cannabis world, it doesn't matter. They've got what you need. You're not really sure, what you need, what you're looking for, or you've got something very specific, but you don't know precisely what to get. The expert guidance you'll get at Sunnyside will help you find the exact experience you seek. They are Illinois' favorite dispensary with locations in the city like Wrigleyville and River North, and the suburbs, Champaign, South Beloit, and more. If you are an old pro, you've been in the cannabis game for a long, long time, they've got over 100 strains on the menu with new ones added every dang day. They know at Sunnyside you'll love Cresco and FloraCal's incredible quality and consistent products. And check out my favorite brands, Good News and Mindy's. Those Good News counting sheep help me do just that every night. I love them. I depend on them. They're great. Visit sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Enter promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Bright buys every day, only for 21 plus or Illinois medical card holders.
And if you haven't been paying attention, let me tell you, light beer just got better just now, right now.
Wow.
Introducing Sam Adams American Light. It is crisp. It is clean. It is super easy to drink, and that's because there are no gimmicks and no fluff with Sam Adams American Light. You don't want fluff in your beer. You want good, crisp, clean, good tasting beer, and that's where Sam Adams American Light comes in handy. And it's not your average light beer. That's because it's brewed with 100% American-sourced ingredients from local independent farmers. That might be important. Light beer that's made the right way. And light beer shouldn't feel like a compromise. You don't want to choose a light beer and have it in your mind that you're saying, well, I don't want to be too full. I want to have a light beer, but I know I'm not going to compromise on taste. Well, with Sam Adams American Light, you are going to not be full. You are going to not be bloated, and you are going to get that great Sam Adams taste. An American classic so smooth, so good, that you'll want to crack another one. It's always Sam season. Grab yourself some Sam Adams American Light. Available now at select Chicago retailers. Of course, you must be 21 or older. And as always, please drink responsibly.
As always, really good stuff from Alex Vlasic. We love doing those visits with him. And I feel like as everyone we get a little more comfortable, get a little more inside with Alex. The team meeting thing, the game was a negative. And like we said to him, I think the meeting that it happened was a massive positive. The fact that they care enough at this point to still do that is a huge positive sign for this team. And we ran out of time, but I was kind of going to ask him, like, do you feel like you guys have been playing better hockey as of late? I don't think that's pretty much undeniable at this point, but I was actually relieved to hear that they had some sort of meeting after last night's loss, because it was bad, it was inexcusable, and it was needed, and they didn't just check out and they're not just waiting for golf season to arrive.
Right. Yeah, I think you want to be able to say that a team is invested through 82 games, and there are going to be nights where that's not the case. You can't. It's the same thing with saying a 60-minute effort. You cannot dominate a game in the NHL, even against teams at the bottom of the league like the Blackhawks, for 60 straight minutes. It's not realistic. So to say you have to be fully invested, 100% effort, 82, it's hard to do. But it is a positive to see that the GAF meter is still, it's still working at game 78. Like you don't want that team to be checked out. You've been eliminated from the playoffs. You're at the bottom of the league, but you still want to find things to play for, be it spoiler to a team trying to make it into the playoffs in the final few games, or playing for each other, or being able to set a tone into next season, with a group that's going to be super young next year, most likely. You want to be able to say that this team closed out the season in that fashion, and that the guys that are here, the guys that are invested, the guys that mattered, were the ones, pulling the train into the station for game 82.
Yeah, it's encouraging. I don't know how a 5-0 loss can be encouraging, but that shows that the leadership of this team, young, unofficial, without letters on their sweaters, or the vets, they care. And a comment Ryan Donato made after last night's game was pretty good, where he said, we have to show up, not just some nights, every night. We have to get that message across to guys that they have to show up every single night to win in this league. And we talk about this with Connor Bedard a lot, where he's never struggled before. Before his NHL career, he's always been great. There's other guys on his team that are the same, but it's a little lesser extent. But Frank Nazar has always been among the best players on his team. Oliver Moore has always been among the best players on their team. Sam Rinzel, on and on and on. This is the first adjustment a lot of these guys have to make. And there were probably games where the guys I just listed could show up and put out an 80% effort and be fine and still do what they need to do to win. And then when it's time for the Frozen Four or whatever, the Bean Pot, whatever it might be, you ramp it up to 100% all the time, and you find that level. This team has to learn that at this level, even the best of the best have to play at their best almost every night. I mean, I just think back to the Dynasty Hawks, where there were those nights where you're just like, what are they doing? They're clearly kind of checked out here. And then all of a sudden,
playoff spot locked in.
Yeah, and then they start the third period down 3-1, and they're like, all right, let's go get these 2 points. And they figure it out, and they do it. They're not at the point where they can switch it on and off yet. There's very few teams in the league that have that ability.
Right, yeah.
They've got to find that consistent effort first. And then once you reach that plateau of we are a cup contender every single damn year, and we know how to turn it on and turn it off as needed, then you can do that. But until they get to that point, and they're very far from there, it's got to be an every night thing. If they want to win more games than they lose in a year or two, it's going to have to be maximum effort as often as possible.
Yeah, and I think setting that tone is good going into next season. There's going to still be, as young as this team feels like it's going to be next year, it will. There's still going to be Connor Murphy around, very likely. Nick Foligno is still around. Jason Dickinson still around. Like, there's going to be veterans on this team that have been here this year before. Like, they have that cachet in the room. Likely that there's going to be free agents or trade pieces brought in that are veterans that will add to that as well. Like keeping that professionalism and that expectation standard there is going to be important, because you can't, as fun as it would be to say the team next year is the U24 Blackhawks, all young guys, it's just not going to work in the NHL. Like you have to have guys there for the purpose of showing some of those young guys those teaching moments of not only on but off the ice, how to get through an 82 game schedule physically and taking care of your body. And as we were talking with Alex, like figuring out your day-to-day, your game day routine, what works, what doesn't, like leaning on some of those guys for ideas or just, being there to be a resource is important. So it's good to have those guys there to set that tone. They're going to be there starting next season. And, as the team evolves, more of those young guys will figure things out. They'll take up their own roles for the next wave coming through, and life rolls on.
Well, I mean, that's what Vlasic said, is he's still learning it.
Right.
He still has to learn the ins and outs of playing in the NHL, and that's a guy who we think of as a wily veteran on this team who's been around forever because he's been around longer than most. But yeah, I think we have a tendency, pointing the thumb at us, and I think fans too, of, well, all right, check that box. We know he's good. We know he's here. So all that is gravy, right? Whatever else happens. No, like, it's still a long process. And as we talked about last night, where people were sort of freaking out on the development of Kevin Korchinski and that sort of thing, like it takes a long time. And especially when you're up in Chicago, you're down in Rockford, you're back, you're fourth, you're back, you're fourth. Kevin Korchinski last year experiences a massive loss in the family, losing his father.
Sure. Yeah.
Like at 19 years old, that's crushing, and that's something he has to work through in the middle of an NHL season when he comes up from the Seattle Thunderbirds. Like there's so much more into it than the 60 minutes of hockey that happen 82 times a year. And that's why I think this wish that I think a lot of us have to go, like, let's go as young as possible on the roster next year. You've got to still have that steady veteran presence there to help guys through stuff like that. And everybody's different. Some guys won't connect with Nick Foligno. Some guys won't connect with Tavo. Some guys won't connect with whoever.
Right. You've
got to have different kinds of, like, I know for sure there's guys in that room that when Nick Foligno speaks, they roll their eyes, or at least they do it in their head. Right? Where I'd much rather talk to the silent leader type like Pat Maroon or Alec Martinez.
Yeah. I mean, it's very rare, if ever, that a professional sports team is a complete group of best friends. Like it's not necessarily the case.
Right.
You got the cohesion is, you get everybody pulling in the same direction. You can do that without being able to be like, yeah, I'm buddy with so and so. Like it's there is going to be that dynamic, but I think you find the right mixture of players and personalities, and even in the NHL there are different guys with different personalities. They're all not the same, as much as they don't show a ton of personality all the time. There are ways that other guys will gel together. So yeah, I think there's a good group coming up, and I think you point to the off ice prospect camps, and the purpose that they're trying to have with that is to get that young group, that next wave coming up, get them bonded through that process earlier, rather than having to figure each other out as teammates once they all reach the NHL at some point. Like to be able to have some, cohesion and unity within that group already moving forward. Like you're not strangers, even though you're all prospects together.
I love that. And I hated it when they did it.
Yeah, because I wanted to see hockey.
I wanted to see hockey so badly.
I wanted to see hockey in July.
But now, whenever you talk to these guys, it's like, oh, yeah, we know each other from prospects camp.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas instead of fighting for a perceived job opportunity,
right,
maybe to the point of literally fighting each other.
Yeah, you don't have that 7th round pick elbowing your 1st round pick because they want to make an impression and get a roster spot. It's these guys are able to go to cooking class and take a Chicago River cruise, and you get to create some bonds and create some it's team bonding for an entire week. So and I think these young guys they get it, they understand what the organization's trying to build, and they're built into it.
All right, got to hit the break zone one more time. Do us a favor. hit the like button for us. We are over 100. We love you for that. Thank you very much, but let's keep going. Don't stop now. Let's get it as high as we can get it. Back with more in a moment on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast powered by Bet365. And just like your favorite hockey squadron needs a home ice advantage, your home needs a home floor advantage, and Empire Today can help you get it. Empire Today has flooring experts, dedicated flooring professionals who focus on flooring every single day. We've all been to those big box stores. You wander endless aisles, then somehow you're hauling all these materials home, looking for an installer and coordinating everything yourself. No, you don't want to do that. That's why Empire Today is your best bet for a new floor. Empire Today lives and breathes flooring, and they will be with you every step of the way. It's a whole different ballgame. Their flooring experts bring the showroom right to your home. Pick the right flooring and the right colors for your space. See how it looks with your furniture in your home, with your dog hair and your kids' toys everywhere. You want to get the full experience. Empire Today, you get a clear upfront and all-inclusive pricing. Plus, you can schedule installation as soon as the next day because no one wants to wait. I want new floors, and I want them now. Schedule a free in-home estimate today because some things are just better at home. CHGO listeners can receive a $350 discount when using promo code CHGO. Yes, you heard me correctly. A $350 discount with code CHGO. Restrictions apply. Visit Empire Today /CHGO for full details.
And we here at CHGO are also brought to you by the new crispy tenders at... Oh, wait, no, I'm just kidding.
Damn it.
We're brought to you by our friends at
I was excited about that.
Prize
I was like,
Picks.
wait, what is it?
If you missed last night, the NBA on TNT, Kevin Harlan was reading an ad read that started with crispy tenders and ended with cars. And it was quite the flub. I was crying laughing at it for about 5 minutes straight. But no, in all seriousness, we are brought to you by our friends at Prize Picks. The race to the playoffs is heating up. At least one of our Chicago teams will play at least one playoff game, as the Bulls are in the playoffs. And with Prize Picks, the best place to cash in on your favorite sports and favorite sports teams is with Prize Picks. Don't miss out on your chance to cash in as the league's best, or the Eastern Conference's 9th best, fight for playoff positioning. Prize Picks is also awesome because it offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Flex Fridays and Taco Tuesdays. Taco Tuesdays happen on Tuesdays. Flex Fridays happen on Fridays.
Thursdays.
On Fridays, Jay.
Just missed
and
it.
Prize Picks on Tacos Tuesdays discount player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. And you know what's coming up?
Taco Tuesday?
The big tournament. Well, that was yesterday. The big tournament coming up. Now that the other big tournament is over.
The next big tournament?
It's a tradition unlike any other. It's the Masters. Who's your pick?
Tiger Woods.
Maybe.
Colin Morikawa.
Any Prize Picks lineup that I'm making is involving Rory McIlroy because he is playing the best golf of his life. And if you want to make a lineup with the Masters, you can win up to 100 times your money with Prize Picks. And you should do it with Rory McIlroy.
Okay.
Download the app today, and when you do, use the code CHGO, and you're going to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download Prize Picks, use the code CHGO, and get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup.
All right. Like button. Hit it. Subscribe button. Whale on it. If you're listening on the podcast, do us a favor and follow us there too. All right. We have some NHL news to get to. First and foremost, the Ivan Demidov situation is official. He is signed. He is a Montreal Canadian. Lots of the speculation is he will make his debut Monday against the Blackhawks.
Yeah.
I feel like this is going to be a rivalry that the actual players involved in a rivalry are unaware of.
They're friends.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm not mistaken, they're both Dan Milstein clients. We saw them. I remember there was a picture taken of them when there was the Milstein Russians only prospect camp that was going on in Florida before the draft. It's it is a purely fan created narrative of the Demidov versus Levshunov thing. I mean, both top 5 picks.
Yep.
Both guys that within Blackhawks world, a lot of people were excited about. There was a lot of debate over it. There was even a chance that they both could have been Blackhawks if Kyle Davidson and the Blue Jackets trade, if that had gone through, there was a chance they both would have been on the same team, and we wouldn't have these debates because they'd be on the same team. But if he gets to Canada, gets through the process, and plays on Monday, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a lot of fun. Just to see him jump into that team where they're on fire. They're going into the playoffs. They're a young team. They're kind of a model of what the Blackhawks might be in a season or two. And then I think it's likely Levshunov is still with the team by Monday. So it's a narrative that is not player driven, but it is still an interesting narrative.
Do you think, if given the opportunity, Columbus would accept that trade in hindsight? With everything that Caden Lidstrom is still battling that back injury.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So now, and we talked about this before the show.
Yeah.
There seems to be, I don't know if it's typos that are just keep coming over.
It might have been a typo from Elliot.
Or it might have been confusing information. But Elliot Friedman and Pierre LeBrun have both said that it was a 2026 unprotected first from the Blackhawks. But I went back and read the Scott Powers and Mark Lazarus article from the day after the draft, and they had said it was an unprotected 2025 first, which would be the Blackhawks' first round pick this year, and it was a 2025 second, I believe. That would be a guaranteed top 4 pick this year, compared to being the 4th pick last year, plus an extra second round pick this year. I think Columbus, in hindsight, now knowing that Caden Lindstrom's, lost a year of his young development period, and the back issues are not easy to overcome. Even if you are a young guy, a young healthy guy, maybe it switches. But I think that deal didn't happen because Lidstrom didn't go 3 to Anaheim, as many people kind of pegged him to be there.
Right.
And because that didn't happen, he became available. That's why they said no. So,
because Verbeek, was it Seneke?
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of went, not off the board, but Seneke went a lot higher.
He was surprised he went 3rd.
Yeah, he went a lot higher
he
than
said,
expected.
oh my, no effing way.
So it's interesting.
Yeah.
By the way, Caden Lidstrom looks like he's heading to Michigan State.
Cool.
Which could be good for his career in terms of, we talk about this a lot, like juniors, trainers, juniors facilities versus Big Ten trainers, doctors, nutrition.
Schedule's different.
Yeah.
And, I mean, this whole CHL NCAA box that has been open with players, being able to now go from juniors to college and stuff is very interesting. Jack Pridham is going to head from the OHL to college. I think he's going to BU.
Don't drive.
I think there's a chance, a lot of people are calling up Gavin McKenna to get him into school. And there's a chance, I think Michael Misa is a guy that schools are calling and being like, hey, and we've seen the success that has come from college players having a lot of that practice time compared to just game, 3 games in 4 nights that you see pretty much every weekend in the junior league. So it's interesting. But yeah, I mean, I think, we saw that with Levshunov, and how playing in college kind of helped his development path. Now he's playing in the playing professionally. Like it's interesting.
Yeah, and it really feels like a shift is happening where the top prospects are going to start going college because they're seeing the benefits of that, and the money that is poured into a college program is it's different.
Yeah,
and guys are coming out more ready,
especially those top programs too.
Yeah. College hockey is about to become, it's already pretty damn awesome, But John Buccigross is going to have to get himself some new shorts in a couple years because this is going to be wild if all these young studs make the jump from junior. Yeah. And if that becomes the norm.
Right, yeah. I mean, and you know, you go back and think, like, if this rule had been implemented a few years earlier, maybe it's instead of Kevin Korchinski is forced to play in the NHL as a rookie. Yeah, maybe he goes to Minnesota and he's teammates with Sam Rinzel and Oliver Moore. Like it's interesting how those development paths will change now that this is in place.
The other bit of news, and this deserves some attention, and I think this will be the biggest threat to Pat Maroon's Masterton Trophy. Gabriel Landeskog is headed to the Colorado Eagles for a conditioning assignment.
Crazy.
Officially, it looks like he's going to come back in time for the playoffs, which is unreal. If you missed it, was it his knee?
It was right above his knee.
Right above his knee, cut by a skate, like right in that little void spot.
Right between where the pants stop and
the kneevage.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what the softball girls call it.
The kneecap protector. The ones I wear have a little extension on them. I'd imagine the NHL ones also would have that, but just that little soft spot, and it's just a freak play.
Yeah.
And he's lost almost three full seasons.
Almost 3 full seasons.
Crazy.
So they never took the C off of him.
Yeah.
The plan has always been for him to come back, and it looks like it's going to happen. And man, like, I have so much respect for Gabriel Landeskog doing that, working his way back from that injury. And I mean, setback after setback, and hope like it's going to happen. And then it comes crashing back down. He has always had a great positive mindset about it. It's a great story, and I hope it happens. It'll be hard for me to root against Colorado if he comes. I like Colorado anyway, but
sure,
if he comes back and overcomes this finally after 3 years, it's just an amazing story.
Yeah,
so
and
here's hoping.
You know, this is, like you said, like, it's kind of been teased that maybe he could. Like, he's been practicing. I remember it was around this time last year. It was just like Landeskog is practicing again, and it just never came to fruition. And I don't know if it was their original content, but I know BR Open Ice posted a little mini video of him at opening night a couple earlier this year with the Avs, and he's announced as captain, gets the ovation and stuff, and then to see him explain, like, after he gets that, how emotional and caught up in the moment he was. And then he doesn't want to go to the locker room, doesn't want to go to the workout room, doesn't want to go to the team's like family room. He just kind of like goes down a hallway off of where the bench is, and is just like overcome with emotion and how hard he's worked to get to that return. It's just like like you said, like, it's going to be hard to root against him and the Avs for that story alone. And who knows what he's going to bring to the table, having missed this much time, but he's a very talented player. Even if you're getting 80% of Gabriel Landeskog, that's an improvement.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
It'll be fascinating to see.
It's a very cool story. So here's hoping that things work out and he gets to do it. All right, we're going to be back tomorrow. Pregame at 5:30, Hawks and Bruins. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, a postgame show. So that'll be a lot of fun. And a new thing we're doing starting here at CHGO is mini pods.
Yeah.
So we're off Friday, but we will drop a short podcast episode on both YouTube. What? Yeah, okay, Sarah's agreeing.
Oh, she's
I thought she was like, stop it, shut up.
She's hyping it up.
So that'll drop Friday morning on YouTube and on your favorite podcast app. So an extra day of content.
Yeah.
I think all the shows are doing that, Steven. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah.
All right. It's going to be awesome.
Not all on the same day, but yeah, well, everyone will be doing at least one a week.
Yeah. So look forward to that on Friday.
More content for your ear holes and eyeballs.
And thanks to everybody who jumped on after the game last night to chat in the Diehards Only Discord with me. We'll try to be doing more of that in the off-season as off-season news rolls in. So stick with us, and we want to hit this $2 super chat from Ted Tell. $2 says, would you guys ever watch a game live with us? Well, we have our takeovers. We do it all the time.
I think this came in when Vlasic was on the show. Maybe it was a question for him.
How's Alex going to watch a game live with us?
He's playing.
I don't know.
Okay.
Ask Ted. That's
Yes,
when
we've
the
done
question
watch-alongs, but
came in.
I'm
just
assuming he's
saying.
talking to us because Alex would be playing.
Yeah. We've
theoretically.
done watch-alongs for Hawks games. We've done watch parties. We've done playoff watch-along. We did one for the Game 7, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we'll be doing some of those this spring, summer too.
Yeah.
And as Michael says, when are you guys getting your own channel? It's happening eventually, probably by May, right? Or in May.
Yeah, somewhere in that range. It's
Yeah.
going to happen, though.
Sometime in the future.
And those watch-alongs will do well in terms of hours watched and that sort of stuff. So, yes, we'll be doing lots of that stuff. So you'll get sick of us if you're not already. All right, we'll talk to everybody tomorrow, 5:30, Hawks and Bruins pregame on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast, powered by Bet365.
We all silly like the mayor.